I will tell you guys, use social media. I know that they're probably turning off the podcast right now. I'm tell you as soon as I said that. Use social media to your advantage. It pisses people off, especially artists, because we hate it. But use social media to your advantage, and do not worry about. I know y'all are tuning out. It's going in one ear and out the other, but seriously, listen. Do not worry about the views or the algorithm or any of that for the first 5 years. As a matter of fact, I think you should be posting everything you're doing. If you're a 16-year-old and you're a musician or you want to be a YouTuber, whatever you want to be, you need to be documenting everything you're doing from now all the way up till you're 30 years old. Elevation is it's all inside of you, you know. It's like what you got to push out. And a lot of people, they gonna hit a point one day where it's like all they can do is elevate. And I think I'm at that point now. All I can do is elevate. But anyway.
This is the Creative Corner Insights, where we highlight and share insight and knowledge from all types of creators, including musicians, filmmakers, artists, and content creators. For today's show, we are speaking with Vade Ultra. Vade Ultra was born in Fort Worth, Texas, and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada. And from an early age, Vade was interested in acting and music. He gravitated towards artists such as Phil Collins and David Bowie at a young age, and then later on gravitated towards hip-hop artists like Jay-Z and Kanye West. He started recording music at the age of 14 with GarageBand, using Apple Loops on his iPad to make beats and record. Currently, Vade Ultra has an EP called NSFW, Not Safe for Work, in 2020, and countless singles after that. I guess you could say his style could be described as bipolar. He will give you that smooth pop vibe with one song and then unleash it with like aggressive sounds in a completely different song. Vade also likes to combine those vibes with songs like Never Die and Better Way. And currently, Vade Ultra is releasing music every Friday for the remainder of 2024. Welcome, Vade Ultra. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
My goodness.
Here.
Hell yeah, dude. This is like probably the second actual podcast that I've done on here. So this is going to be interesting. Because we've known each other for, God, what was it, 2017?
Yeah, pretty much talked damn near every day since then.
Pretty much. And it was weird because it wasn't like a situation that you were looking to connect with me. It was just those random happenstance. And then it's, I messaged you on Twitter one day. We exchanged numbers. And here we are, literally like, how many years? Like, what, 6 years later, and we're still talking?
It's still crazy to think of 2017 being that long ago. So,
dude, it doesn't feel that long.
I was a kid in 2017, and here I am an adult. So
you're like, your dreads and all that.
Yeah.
Jason! But anyway, I guess really to start this show off, because there's really so many things that we can dive into. And I guess my first thing is, when it comes to artists, how did Phil Collins and David Bowie influence your music and acting at a young age?
I was a very weird kid, and Phil Collins like really resonated with me, and I would listen to a lot of the Tarzan album over and over and over again. And then hearing how he played the drums and learning about him playing the drums and stuff, and then hearing his other music when he was with Genesis, that was like a lot of the stuff I listened to. I wasn't really listening to what a lot of other kids were listening to, especially a lot of other black kids. So I'm the black kid, and like my favorite artist as a kid is Phil Collins and David Bowie.
Yeah.
I was listening to all of that. David Bowie, I just loved his weird style. I just liked stuff that wasn't normal, and I guess like that like transversed into how I am as an artist, because I'm just not the same. Like, I don't vibe with a lot of the same shit that most pop artists do right now. So
yeah, how does that come in correlation with your acting though? Like, you've done acting too. since you were young age as well?
So acting was before music. I thought I was gonna be an actor. Like I didn't like before music even came along. I was just like I thought the whole time I was gonna be an actor. And so being with like acting agencies, doing commercials and stuff like that, that's what I thought was gonna be my career. I didn't think like I was gonna be like a musician and be into the music scene as much as I am now.
Especially, I think a lot of people pick one career and then they realize that, oh, it's completely different than how I imagine it, and they
Yeah.
swap.
Yeah, and I still like acting. It's just like I like more of the screenwriting and stuff like that. That's like more of my vibe right now. Instead
Yeah.
of being in front of the camera and reciting lines and stuff. It's something that I would do if opportunities present themselves. But right now, I'm good with creating my own stories and creating my own music videos and shit like that. Just doing my own thing is what really gives me more creative energy to keep going. Knowing I created this shit from scratch, that's what really gets me.
And when you were going into, you talked about how David Bowie and Phil Collins were your influence. At what point would you say that sort of resonated to the more hip hop aspect? And what exactly about Jay-Z and Kanye West's music resonate you, which got you into hip hop?
So what got me into making like rap and hip hop stuff, because like I started out singing,
Mhm.
and what really got me into it was Kanye's album 808s and Heartbreak. And that was basically, if that album never came out, there probably would not be a Vade, because that album is what really got me into messing with the auto tune sounds and doing everything that I like now. Ever since that album came out, when I was, I think I was, I know I was either in middle, I think I was in middle school when that album came out. But ever since then, I was like, I want my songs to sound like 808s and Heartbreak. I want to make a song like Heartless. I want to make a song like Street Lights. And I've done countless songs that sound like 808s and Heartbreak now.
Yeah, no, I can definitely tell. Back then, I wasn't really listening to Kanye West. And it's interesting. It's really interesting, even from my perspective, when listening to your music specifically as a listener. And then, ironically, that got me into listening to Kanye West. I've never was a huge Kanye West listener until after I started listening to music. Okay, I could see the resemblance to it, and then I'm like, oh
Yeah.
shit, I'll back with it. But
Yeah.
yeah, and speaking of that though, going back to making the beats, making the tunes, and especially in like your early days, how would you
Mhm.
say it was like recording music at the age of 14 on GarageBand compared to now when you have all the equipment, you've built up the studio and you have like the tools to make like really cool stuff? How much of it has changed?
I don't think a lot has changed. It's just I know what I'm doing now. Like at 14, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just making stuff that was trash. Like it was good for what it was, and what's funny is I still have the computer that has all of those songs I made when I was a kid, and
Hmm.
they suck. Like I am, it's just my voice is all squeaky from being a kid, and I had the vision. It's just I didn't know what I was doing. So now that I know what I'm doing, it's pretty much the same. It's the same fun. It's the same enjoyment. It's just now I know how to craft a song together. Now I know how to craft lyrics and how to make a beat, how to mix and master, how to do everything, and how to take what's in my head and put it on the canvas.
And one of the interesting things too, I was gonna say is when you were 14, what iPad model was that? Was that like iPad? Did the iPad
It was
even
like the
come out yet?
it was, I think it was the second. It had to be the second one because I know the first one didn't have a GarageBand on it. It was the second one.
What was that say? What would you say is like the
No,
most?
no, it wasn't the second one. It was
Yeah,
actually
the third?
it was the third one because uh, yeah, it was the third one.
The third?
Right before right before the pros came out.
That's crazy to think about that. Would you say that there was any like? huge memorable moment or challenge from using that device when you were that young though? It's like, man, just messing around it because even when I'm using an iPad, I'm like, okay, garage band it is.
Yeah, not really. Like, I just think now since stuff is so much faster that it's hard to remember how slow every moved back then. But I actually enjoyed it. Like, I feel like if it was something that I didn't enjoy, I wouldn't have the type of memories that I have about it.
What it reminds me of is, and obviously not to this extent, but it's almost like with GarageBand, maybe like a step up of when a kid gets their first Fisher Price toy.
Yeah,
Okay,
really, actually,
you got your piano, and now you've got the iPad, and it's very hands on. It's not like you're
yep,
sitting there looking and trying to figure out, oh, where do I drag this file? How do I like adjust a
yep,
song? It pretty much does a lot of it automatically and autonomously for you in certain areas.
definitely.
So I was gonna say too, like when it comes to where you started and how your music has evolved, was there
Mhm.
any huge significant changes in your approach or style in terms of as you're making more music?
I wouldn't say like anything changed per se. I would just say that now it's easier for me to get my vision across. So like when you start out with something and you learn something, the stuff that you're good at when you've learned how to do it, that's all you're really going to try to dabble in because you want to stay in that safe zone. But now that I've gotten more comfortable with different types of sounds and experimenting with different types of sounds, I feel like that's the only change is that I'm more comfortable trying the stuff that I actually want to try instead of just staying in this like safe zone of okay, I know that this R&B song is going to work. I know that, you know, this song about a girl is going to work. I know that this song where I'm just being aggressive and talking shit is going to work. And now I'm like getting into a mode where I'm like, okay, yeah, let me rap more. Let me show that like, yo, I'm here. Like
Yeah,
I'm here like every week. I want you to when you hear my song, I want you to have to rethink and second guess what you're putting out because Vade is here. Vade just dropped. We all got to go back inside the house now. We got to cook something up
run.
again because Vade just dropped. Oh shit. I need them to understand that the rest of my life is here. Like it's not, oh, I'm just gonna be hot for 1 year or anything. Like the moment I sign that dotted line with whatever record label or sign that dotted line with whatever deal that I get, it's over forever.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting when you go into record labels versus being independent. You even
Yeah.
mentioned to me in the past, even with acting, you didn't really like the whole agency approach. Like, why do you feel that artists need agencies or they need somebody to be like, yo, I will look for gigs for you? And even with music, you have to go through distributions and all the
Mhm.
loopholes just to get a song made. One, why is that? And two, how do you break away from that?
So it's because how can I put this for especially for the artists who are watching this, when you don't have a lot of I don't even want to say accolades. My manager Jay likes to use the word accolades, and I don't like that word because like accolades really don't mean shit these days. But when you have a lot of people looking at you, not even necessarily accolades, like it's easier to get stuff done. But when you are an independent artist and you're starting out, or even if you've been doing it for a long time, but you don't have the eyeballs and the exposure, I feel like we get very discouraged by not having that exposure that we want to quickly go sign with somebody and quickly go do that because there are a lot of benefits to signing to a record label where it's like you get the exposure, you get to go to all these parties, you get to network with big stars, you get to network with a lot of people. But at the same time, what are you sacrificing? What money are you not getting? What percentage of your hard work are you giving are you putting on the table that they're not going to give back to you, and that you got to work your ass off even more harder with the fan base you've already created, but now all that money's going to them and they just gave you a little $200,000 that you still got to spend in the studio, you still got to spend everywhere else. We have to understand that we are the gatekeepers of everything, especially musicians. If there's no music, there's nothing. No more commercials, no more movies, no more video games, nothing. No more YouTube, nothing. Like, people don't understand how powerful music is. Music is so powerful that what do we do at football games and baseball games and shit before everybody sits down for the game to start or the fight to start? What do we sing? The national anthem. That's music. People got to understand that music is everything, and I'm just tired of musicians not being recognized. It's like, yo, we put a lot of work into this shit. We put a lot of work into music. We put a lot of work into perfecting our craft, making sure we ain't putting out shit. There's a lot of people putting out shit out there, but the majority, the people who are really trying to get somewhere in this aren't trash. They're not. There may be some trash people here and there and they just see it for a quick check, but the majority of people who are trying to make a living from their music are really dedicated to this. And I'm just tired of seeing artists being trashed on. I don't think anybody who has made a song and is on Spotify or on Apple Music, they should not be struggling to pay bills right now.
It's interesting too because what's even wilder about that when you talk about, because I 100% agree. I think artists, the ones that are really putting out the artwork out there, and it sucks that we go back to that coined term, starving artists. There's a reason why they're starving. It's because you ain't
It's the
paying them
reason why they're
anything.
starving, because you got Spotify who don't even want to give you a penny for a stream. I spent 5 hours, spent 8 hours, and y'all out here spending thousands of dollars a month, millions of dollars if you're a part of a record label. People spending all this money. Spotify, if you listening to this, I know he got a lot of people in the creative industry. Any of y'all working at Spotify, y'all listen to this, pay people because they money. Cause when Vade blow up, I'm gonna tax y'all for real. That's why I don't even like putting my shit on y'all shit.
You are listening to the Creative Corner Insights, where we highlight and share insights from knowledge of all type of creators, including musicians, filmmakers, artists, and content creators. Today, I am speaking with Vade Ultra. Once again, we are back, and to really conclude on the whole Spotify thing, though, what's interesting in that retrospect is artists that do sell their music to Spotify record labels. $500,000 is a seemingly a lot of money, but to these record label companies, that is like a dime in the
Yeah.
bucket. So you were talking about earlier with your music and how we talk about the bipolarness ranging from like the smooth pop vibes, aggressive sounds.
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance these contrasting styles in your music?
Because when I make music, I never really make it. I'm never intending to put out a single, if that makes sense. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm making music, I'm trying to tell a cohesive story. So a lot of my songs, they're gonna be put together. I just so happen understanding the algorithms and stuff with music right now is, for an independent artist, nobody really gonna listen to an album if you're not like a major artist. They're just not gonna listen to it like that. So I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna find a way to put this music out anyway. So I'm putting them out every week. Some songs are songs that were supposed to be a part of an album together, and then some songs are just different. And then with a story, you have lots of things going on. And I think of my life in music as like a epic movie. It's like the Vade universe, the Phase Infinity universe. So you can have a movie about the Avengers, and then you can have the Spider-Man movies, and both of those have their own different cadence to them and their own different way that they move, but they can still come together. So I feel like that's the same thing with me as an artist. I can dabble in different things. I can dabble in different genres and then find a way to mesh that genre with hip hop, or find a way to mesh pop with hip hop, or R&B with a more rock sound. And I can just manipulate anything that comes out of my mind because, number one, I'm not from this planet. So I just need to learn how to turn my alien language into English.
For real. So I wanted to talk about not safe for work, because clearly there's parts of this podcast that are clearly not safe for work. We're gonna have to rearrange the order on the questions.
This is gonna be the episode that gets you in trouble. Then they're gonna look at like all the episodes and they're like, "Oh, okay, we know not to with him." I my money up every time I get on a microphone, but it's all right.
It's all good. Anyway, back to not safe for work. What would you say inspired this creation, the message, or and what do you hope people get out of listening from this?
Not Safe for Work was like one of my first EPs under the moniker Vade Ultra. I used to go under the moniker Vade Siles, and I had projects out, but those projects are trash. We don't talk about Vade Siles. Vade Siles never existed. Anyway, so it was like my first project up under Vade Ultra, and it was just more of like an arrival. It was just like, hey, let me see what I can do. Like, I had spent the whole summer just grinding my ass off doing photography and doing videography, doing events and shit. And then I'm like, you know what? Now I stacked up a good amount of money. I'm like, now I have the time to like really make a good project. And I don't want to go overboard. So I'm just going to make an EP. And so
Mhm.
I started out working on the beats, and over that summer really I started working on the beats, and then it got recorded around end of early November, end of December of 2019. And the first song I actually recorded was Hand on the Bible. I actually recorded that in like either early November or late October. I was like, yeah, this needs to be the intro. What actually happened, I was on some random dude's live and he was like reviewing music and stuff. And this was on Instagram Live because TikTok wasn't really that big back then in 2019. And this dude was reviewing music. And then I was like, I'll play one of my songs. And then so I like played it on the live stream. And then everyone was like, bro, when is this coming out? Like this and that. And I was like, oh, I think I do got something here. And so then I just built off a Hand on the Bible. I was all like, how can I like mesh everything? And then I did Hopeless. And then after I did Hopeless, I did Caution. And then Caution was actually the single for Not Safe, like the only single I put out. And then people liked Caution. And then you had hit me up about Caution when we wanted to put it in the GTA series.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I
Yeah.
just built off of that. I grabbed You during 2019. A lot of people like that song. And so that is like one project. If you guys go and listen to it, you'll have like different moods. It's a lot of cussing, it's a lot of realness. And the reason it's not safe for work is because when you're at work, you can't be real, can you?
You really can't. Going
You can
back
get a
to
little,
it, you kind of put on a mask. Depending on who you are, you can be real, but in
yeah,
other cases, are you really real if you're trying to hide something? I don't know. Not really.
not safe
So,
for work.
not safe for work, for real. Now, and what's interesting now in 2024, because you were always making music, and
Yeah.
obviously some of it was spaced out, but now for the remainder of 2024, you releasing music every single Friday, or in some cases
I
Monday.
say it every single Friday, and it's every single week now. Like I'm
Ye-
gonna drop a song every week, but it
mhm.
was just like I ran into some technical problems, and really I said technical problems, but it was really like I actually redid like almost half of the song I just put out, Moments. And because like there's two versions of that song, and then I'm like listening to it. I'm like, oh, no, I just want to go harder on the song. Like the first version was just very modest. And I was just like talking about, oh, yeah, I want this, I want that. And I'm like, no, I'm not here to play around. And then now you guys got the hit that is Moments.
Because you've done acting and music, how do you see the relationship between these two fields, and how do you think they influence each other? I know you did Parallels of Insanity. How much of that was influenced by your music and then vice versa?
The Parallel of Insanity really wasn't too much influenced by my music because I wasn't doing much music at that time. And then as far as the way acting and music, they're just two different things to me because I got into a lot of stuff. Like acting was like the one thing that I did without a hidden agenda until like I started making music. So like once I started like making music and knew that music was like the main thing I wanted to do is when I started getting into like photography, video editing, and all this stuff. Cause I'm like, okay, I know that I'm gonna need this shit and I'm not gonna have enough money to pay people to do it.
Mhm.
So that's how I was just like, let me learn how to pick up a camera and take my own photos and let me learn how to make my own album cover. So like my album covers ain't looking like shit. Like, cause
Mhm.
I just be seeing a lot of people's album covers look like shit. Side note, if y'all need like album covers and thumbnails, hit your boy Vade Vision. Yeah, vadevision at gmail.com. I got you. I'm gonna hook y'all up with some shit. But and if y'all need pictures, shameless plug. Spotify ain't paying me no money, so I'm gonna need y'all help. So within that, acting, I just feel like acting is like a chore, to be honest. Like it's a job to me, really. Like when I had an agent and stuff, like it's a job. Like it's not, I'm not saying that it's not fun. It's not something that I enjoy because I enjoy doing Parallel of Insanity. I enjoy doing commercials and stuff like that when I did them. But to me, I just feel like music is just my safe space of like where I can just be myself. I can create my own world, and it's, to me it's just the top tier of creativity. I'm not saying that in a way of saying it's the best form because so many forms of creativity. It's just for me that is the best. That is where I shine the most is music. And like I can do all of these other things. Like I make my own content, I edit my own videos. I'm a machine. Like I said, I'm not from this planet. But at the end of the day, like when it comes to music, I can take some jabs on YouTube videos and messing around with the algorithm on YouTube and not getting views and shit. I could take all those jabs, but can't nobody tell me that my music ain't good. Nobody. Ever since Not Safe for Work cannot tell me I've had a bad song. Like I may have had a song that just didn't tickle your ears as much, but every time Vade drops, every time you listen to a Vade song, every time I play my shit for somebody who's never heard me, their jaw drops every single time.
Yeah.
Whether they're just a consumer or whether they're a part of the industry, their jaws are gonna drop when they hear my music.
Oh,
I
I
was
see what
very low as
happened.
a kid.
So
Yeah.
you would say most of what shaped you as an artist was probably in Vegas and then
More
more
California.
California?
Yeah, I've
Okay.
always wanted to live in California. It's just too expensive. I know. Nah.
Tell
Even
me about it.
even when I become a billionaire, I really don't know if I'm gonna waste my money in California.
What advice would you give to young aspiring artists, music actors who are just starting out, who might not have any gear?
So, what age group do you want me to talk? Are we talking young, as in teenagers? Are we talking 20s? Are we talking 30s, 40s? What are we talking?
I think we're going to be talking more or less like teenagers to young adults. So anywhere from, say, I want to say the youngest cap would probably be 16, with maybe the oldest being in their 30s or
Okay.
something.
When I was 16, I knew that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I will tell you guys, use social media. I know that they're probably turning off the podcast right now. I'm tell you as soon as I said that. Social media to your advantage. It pisses people off, especially artists, because we hate it. But social media to your advantage, and do not worry about. I know y'all are tuning out. It's going in one ear and out the other. But seriously, listen. Do not worry about the views or the algorithm or any of that shit for the first 5 years. As a matter of fact, I think you should be posting everything you're doing. If you're a 16-year-old and you're a musician or you want to be a YouTube, whatever you want to be, you need to be documenting everything you're doing from now all the way up till you're 30 years old. And you need to just be documenting, keeping archives of it, learning, document every single, like, I have so much footage of like when I was younger, of all these different things. I have all my music still from when I was a kid, and when I'm like 40 years old, 45 years old, and they create a documentary about me, all of that shit's gonna be there. Know that you are gonna be great if you put in all of the work. You guys are listening to this right now, and I'm not the Vade Ultra that you guys are gonna know in 5 years.
Boom. For real. You've been listening to the Creator Quarter Insights, where we highlight and share insights and knowledge from all types of creators, including musicians, filmmakers, artists, and content creators. My name is Doublepulse, aka Steven, and I was speaking today with Vade Ultra, who is a musician born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada, and Fort Worth, Texas. He's been doing a lot of music. For more information on Vade Ultra, you can actually visit his website, vadevision.com, or visit his YouTube channel. And as always, thank you guys for listening.